We fabricate tools right here in the United States at VerySuperCool Tools.com. If you like my content and shop on Amazon, please click through shopAskWoodman.com. Thanks. Hi, I'm Alan Little, Ask Woodman here on YouTube, and I'm also the owner of VerySuperCool Tools. And welcome to my first shop tour of my new shop. And if you have any questions after this, I'm always happy to answer them. This whole building is made out of ICF concrete block and steel. There's no structural wood in this. The dimensions of my shop are 16 by 50 on the inside of the walls. So I have 800 square feet of floor space in here, and about 10 feet of overhead space up here. And the ceiling in here is made of structurally engineered SIPs, insulated panels, and they're steel skinned, so it's a steel ceiling. And all of the walls in here are cement stucco, so there's no sheetrock in this entire house or building. Back here in the corner, this is my drill press area. So this is a drill press I've had for a long time. You may remember in the Welding for Woodworkers series where I made this adjustable stand to give this thing support. It doesn't matter how much weight you put on this thing, you cannot flex or damage this tabletop. Here is my clausing drill press. This is what I use for real precise drill setups. Here I've got my Kurt vise. I was drilling some holes in some things here. This you've never seen before. This is Milwaukee's top of the line mag drill. I bought this for the construction project. It has automatic toggle forward and reverse, variable speed. It is a beast. It will magnetize in any direction on something that's 3/8 of an inch thick or thicker. So you can mount it upside down to drill into things, sideways. It is just, it's the strongest drill press I own. It is a fantastic machine, and you will see many videos when you see the construction videos of this project where I use this, because there's so much steel in this build. This is my oxyacetylene rig. I made this cart quite a while ago to deal with these big awkward bottles, and this thing gets moved all around my shop, and a lot of times I just have it I put it down the elevator into the basement if I'm not using it. Of course, I put the covers on the top and take the regulators off. And this is my desk, and kind of here at the end of my shop, I like to, do little sketches here and assemble or disassemble small parts, motors and things that I'm working on. And I have my TV here. I like to watch sports in my shop. And so this is just a great setup right here at the end, and just a place to kind of get off my feet and regroup. Well, these boxes that make up this desk, I showed how to make these in my plywood box series. So I made the plywood boxes and poplar drawers and these banded plywood drawer fronts with the cutouts. And if you're interested in seeing my plywood box series, in the description, I will post links to all of the playlists as well as all of the other playlists for things I discuss in this shop tour. And this is a bookcase that I made probably when I was 29 years old. And it was actually originally made for Susan, my stereo equipment. So the receiver and cassette deck were in here, and all these little dovetail drawers were for all our cassettes. So that tells you how old it is. This was the first piece I ever made with sliding dovetail shelves, where it led into the cabinet with sliding dovetails. It's dovetailed on the case, top and bottom, and all these dovetail drawers. So it was out of poplar, but this is where I keep my potions and notions and a lot of my screws and stuff in here. These are the yellow boxes that I got from my friend Phil at Breeding Company when they changed out distributors for all the bolts and nuts and things. I was fortunate enough to get all these yellow boxes, and these are just so fantastic. I can stay so organized with, bushings, cordless drill, torch welding stuff, anchors, electrical, cabinet screws, just everything you can think of. I'm able to just keep organized in here. This is the west side of the shop, and in the summertime here in Texas, the western sun beats down like it's just like you're on the surface of the sun here. And so I actually sewed these blackout curtains and put all these grommets in here and put it on a piece of pipe to knock that sun off. But this was a fun project to sew, and it really helps with the efficiency of my shop. This is actually the first time in almost 40 years of professional woodworking that I've had an air-conditioned shop. So it's really great for my mental well-being to not be fried in the Texas heat, you know. So this is my big 5x10 table. I made this prior to being on YouTube. I do have some pictures and video when I was fabricating this. So this is made up of two 5x5 pieces of Baltic birch, but I can take these tops off and have a complete welding structure underneath. So I can weld things, I can get all my clamps on and just pin everything down to counteract the heat of the welding, which will distort things like crazy. The way I designed this is it has all these adjustments on the feet and here, so I can reduce any amount of sag in this 10-foot structure and get this thing just dialed in absolutely dead flat. It has just been a wonderful table, and it's got all the storage down below for wood and steel, and I've got a piece of 3/16 plate here, so if I am welding here, I'm not dropping any of my sparks down onto my wood. And I do have 3 fire extinguishers in this shop, so I'm very cognizant of that. And I almost never use my torch inside the shop. I will just use my MIG welder in here or the TIG in here if I'm doing something. But this is great. As you can see, I don't mind cutting into this when I'm using my track saw. This is just a work table for just getting on with it and making progress. And down below, I made a big drawer on wooden wheels out of a 4x8 sheet of 1/2-inch Baltic. And so I've got all kinds of stuff stored down here that I don't need all the time. Like here's my Makita 9820 and all my sharpening accessories. But this just gives me a place to store things and keep them out of my way, but also very accessible. This is one of the greatest things I've made for my new shop. So I welded up this holder for my Festool vac, and you can see that I can release this pin and the whole vacuum will tilt down, so if I need to change the bag. But I have all my vacuum accessories are here, both my Festool hoses and all my vacuum accessories. And the way I wired this switch, I think is pretty unique. So I can uncoil this and have it wherever I'm working. And turn the vacuum on here. And without having to do anything, I can just plug a tool in and tool trigger it, and if I have to clean up, so I never have to touch the vacuum unless I'm changing the bag, and it's just up out of my way. And this is a 5-meter hose, so I can just keep everything clean and tidy. And if I'm doing something, I can actually plug in a pigtail in here that has 4 outlets. So if I'm using router, sander, domino, jigsaw, I can have all of them hooked up at the same time without having to change cords, and then just move the snout of the vacuum to the different tools to extract dust. So this is fantastic. This just helps me keep my shop clean and protect my health, and just is more efficient. Okay, so let me get this out of the way, but I forgot to mention that this is all just based on common barn door hardware. The brand is called National. You can get it at any farm supply place. And let me just move this out of the way. This is the way I like to store tools that I'm always accessing. I just like a readily accessible shelf so I can grab my router, grab my domino. You know, I don't think I need to hang or create some complicated setup for this. And then all the other things, my grinders, hammer drill. I like to take a round rod and just bend it into these hooks that I can hang off the bottom of those expanded metal shelves. So if I need a grinder, I just grab it. You know, if I need a hammer drill, I grab it. And then it just goes back, and I just let the cords dangle down here because this is back behind my joiner anyway, which is just dead space. Nothing, I mean, I guess I could store wood and stuff behind it, but I like to be able to vacuum and keep it clean back there. So I try to, this is perfect for me is what I'm trying to say. Just all these tools that I'm always using, readily accessible, but then I can get them back in their place where I know where they are. So this is my hand tool wall. So I've just got all my miscellaneous stuff that I'm using every day up here. I keep a lot of hand screws up on top of this shelf. I got my clamping cauls for panels over here, but I've just got everything kind of organized in a way that I can find things, but also it's flexible. So if I change things, if I want to regroup things to a different position, it's just really easy to do. So it's just a lot of lightweight angle iron that I drilled a bunch of holes in, and then just different random pieces of scrap wood that I made this out of. But this works really well for me to stay organized. I've got a place for tapes to hang, and my wrenches, all my Japanese saws are over here, kind of all nestled together, safe and out of the way. And but it works real well. And I always keep one of my porta bands mounted right here so I can make a metal cut really quickly, keep it plugged in and ready to go. But yeah, I like to put stuff back where it belongs, but I'm not that crazy about it. You know, I mean, I end up with stuff everywhere when I'm working, but I do like to put it back and try to stay somewhat organized. But this works really well for me. This stump came from next door. When they built a house, they knocked a live oak tree down, and I was able to get the base stump from it. And I've got some really great video and photographs of when I let this season for like 4 years during the construction project. And after we moved into the new shop, I flattened the top and bottom, and I attached this antique leg vise. And this is an anvil that I made about 15 years ago out of an old forklift blade. So I have this great little mobile metalworking station right here. And even though it's about, I'm guessing about 250 pounds, I can lift it up with my hand cart and move it outside to, if I need to hold something for a lot of grinding or what have you. But I also have this little accessory table that I made for this that I use all the time. So I can just clamp this on here, and this is a ledge that I do a lot of my quick and dirty Japanese saw cuts, where I've got this rabbet right here, but it's got the 20mm holes. But I use this all the time, and it just breaks down and gets out of the way so quickly. So this is something I really, really love here, this little setup here. But I think this vise is over 100 years old. It came from a blacksmithing friend of mine. You'll find additional information and links in the description. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and keep in touch.